Vinay from Immigration Law Advice, your New Zealand licensed immigration advisor. We bring the information to you in ABS format, accurate, brief, and simple. We thought to this time around bring you something special. We're trying to start a series where we could able to talk to the successful professionals in New Zealand and can share their experience and journey, which might help you to plan your future in New Zealand in different industries. And today we have with us Naren Verma, and he's a system administrator in one of the uh, leading company in New Zealand. And I will ask him some questions about his journey to New Zealand and how he got this job, and various other questions. So we are going to ask him about his experience and any advice for the future aspirant to make a career in IT in New Zealand and what to think about current situation. Hi Naren, how are you?
I'm good, Vinay. How are you?
Good, thanks, Naren. Naren, thank you so much for joining us for this brief interview to help you know uh, people who want to make a career in New Zealand, be they are already in New Zealand or they are offshore and planning to come to New Zealand. So let me quickly start with asking you about about your journey to New Zealand. If you would like to give us a brief on that, please.
Sure thing. Vinay, I came to New Zealand in 2015 with my wife Sheetal. She wanted to study business, and my brother used to live in New Zealand, so he suggested me to come here, and we really enjoying here. My wife, she has finished her studies back in 2017, and we have a baby now as well, and he's almost 2 years old now, and so far my journey is really going good while living in New Zealand. Yeah.
So that's great. And Naren, uh, was your first job in New Zealand was in IT field? How did you got your your first job?
My first job in New Zealand was a pizza delivery guy. I used to work for a Pizza Hut, but simultaneously I was looking for the decent job. But it was hard because all the companies used to ask me if I got a New Zealand experience. The second job I got was in a meat factory, which is also called Freezing Works in here. And when we came in New Zealand, I was ready to do any kind of job. And as my occupation is IT, I always wanted to work in IT firm, and it took me nearly 6 months to get the IT job where I'm currently working now.
All right, okay. And if we may ask that, how did you find your first IT job in New Zealand?
As I said, I was hunting for IT jobs through lots of work agencies and online portals, but I had not much luck to find it. So there is an online e-commerce website called TradeMe where you can find lots of things, including jobs. And I found a new company. It was an old company who was looking for an IT help desk person. So I applied over there, and they called me for an interview, and they saw my work experience with IT, and said they will get back to me. When they called me for an interview, the interview was very good. They asked me a couple of technical questions, and because I'm very confident about what I do, so it was easy for me to crack that job. Yeah.
But was that to reach to the interview level? How many application you would have? I know it's not, you might not remember exactly, but how many application you have to send through to reach to that interview stage for an IT company?
Yeah. So I applied for like more than 100 places online,
Wow.
and I used to get the first thing I used to get was like, your application didn't go through because we have already found, the person. And where I'm currently working, even they got 175 application for that job, but I was really lucky enough, to get that job.
Good. No, thanks for that. And Naren, if we may ask that about what would you give an insight in the IT industry in New Zealand, if you have to talk about IT industry in New Zealand, if you can put a bit light on that as an industry.
Hmm. Sure. There is always an opportunity to grab, no matter what profession it is. When I mean, for an example, uh, IT in New Zealand is always for a good professionals, like network engineers, software developers, and many other employees, many other work experience. So the salaries are on an average about 60 to $150,000 and more than that. In the IT market, we have seen a focus on permanent recruitment, primary by private sectors, customers who are wanting to reduce the overall cost of headcount and to rebalance the reliance on external providers.
Yeah. No, then the point is like you're talking about there's always a increasing demand of IT professionals in New Zealand, and it is uh, we are licensed advisor. We understand this. The IT is in long term skill shortage list. There's a huge demand for IT, but there are many people who say that we it's not that easy to find a job in IT in New Zealand. So do you have any message for them, or is there anything uh, is missing, that even though if it is in the long term skill shortage list, but there are people who feel that they are not finding the jobs in IT? What would you like to say?
The most important part here is what is your background on IT? If you are a fresher and you have no experience, then it will be a hard for you to getting a job in New Zealand. As I said earlier, most companies ask you, if you have a New Zealand experience. But if you have, some sort of IT experience, then it is easy for you to be confident when you have an interview and you may get a job. Yeah.
So you meant to say is, of course, degree is important, but most important is you should have some experience and probably some certification rather than just a degree, isn't it? Am I right in saying that?
Absolutely right. If you are a fresher and you come to New Zealand, and you select the IT qualification in New Zealand as well. But overall, your background, if you don't know about IT, that's the thing, And when you come to New Zealand and you take a level 8 or level 9 IT studies, but there are not 100% things that they will teach you, you know. So you need to have some sort of experience and some kind of certification, like of Cisco or Microsoft or web developing or any sort of, certification. Yeah.
So what would be your comment on the current scenario with regards to COVID-19? Of course, it's a global issue, and all the countries are struggling, and economy is gonna get a big hit. But what would you say about the IT industry in New Zealand? uh, to what extent they is, if there is any at all, if there is any impact, or what do you say on that in IT field?
Well, as you know, like on this impact, I was still working. I was working from home because IT is a primary role these days, and it will not affect IT sectors because the most of the things these days we need is a computer and a networks to communicate, and IT stands in a good percentage of role in any companies to make work functioning. There would be some kind of redundancy, but that depends on the company's strength where you are working. And yeah, I mean, the people who already got the job in New Zealand who are working in an IT firm, those people were advised to work from home. And the companies, if the companies is in essentials,
Yeah.
And
I may say, like, of course, if one thing which has many companies have realized that IT is the backbone of all the companies nowadays, isn't it? Rather than uh, uh, the companies who were not putting a lot of emphasis on online, and like what we are now doing, an online interview which otherwise would have been in person. So more and more companies realizing the benefit of putting investment in form of human resources and infrastructure, isn't it? Like, if any industry which has gained out of or will gain out of COVID might be, probably IT would be one of them, isn't it?
absolutely, absolutely. As I said, I was working from home, and the only thing what we did was, because my company is one of the essentials companies where I work, and the only thing we wanted to do while this COVID-19 thing, we wanted the computers so that people can work from home, and we bought lots of computers and the network gears to make the things connections. And we bought a couple of servers, the extra servers, so that people can work from home. And yeah, I mean, we had a major role, in this situation.
No, that's great. Thanks. And uh, what would you say to the prospective, the number of uh, uh, prospective students, fresh graduates in offshore who have done their IT qualification? They want to make a career in IT in uh, globally or per se in New Zealand. What would you like to, give? What suggestion would you give them?
Well, what I will suggest is, when you think of going overseas for further studies, the first thing you have to think about, you have to make sure that, you have to settle down doing IT, not like, you come over here on IT studies and then you started to work in a restaurant or some other places. So when you have a focus, that now I'm an IT guy and I have to work in an IT company. So the freshers, they the thing is, I have seen a lot of people over here, when people come on the IT studies over here, when they don't found a job for 5 to 6 months, they started to work in some sort of firms, and then they continue to that kind of work. Then they don't think about the IT. Then it's a bit hard for them to get the job in IT field.
Yeah,
So
may I put it in a perspective from a student point of view, as if we are on the same line as, I mean, in your case, of course, you came on a open work visa and you looked for a job. You didn't find a job. You worked with Pizza Hut, freezing work, but eventually you got your first job because you had the experience and and skills to do that. But for the students who are coming, who are fresh graduates, who come here, get some qualification. Uh, you mean to say that, of course, if to start with they do any job, but they keep looking for some IT opportunities, and rather than just forgetting about the IT side while they are studying, and once they finish their qualification and then start looking for IT. Am I right in saying that? Is it like, they should actively look for even a smaller assignment or something in IT if they can, while they are doing some other, odd jobs, so called?
no, that's absolutely right, because when you come to New Zealand as a fresher, as I said before, you when you come to New Zealand, you need some kind of qualification and some kind of certification. And when you do the certification in your country, you know that you have to work for that. You know, you have to work for that field, and that's why you are doing the certification or the further studies. And when you come over here, you just have to make sure that keep on studying. I mean, don't focus anywhere else. When you get a job, just grab that job and keep hunting for a IT job. you know and it's not really hard to get a job in New Zealand It's just a matter of time, and you have to have some patience. Yeah.
Uh, Naren, what would you say in general? Like, thanks for your time and all the valuable suggestions. What would you advise to just a message for everyone, be it someone who is a skilled IT professional overseas looking to make a career, or in New Zealand, or the students who are studying here in New Zealand, or who are offshore, want to come here. Any message for them with regards to because this video we are making in particularly for people who would like to make a career in IT, what they can do. Is there anything you would like to add, if at all?
Sure. New Zealand is one of the best countries. I've spent almost 5 years over here now, and I really love working here and staying here. The people who have the IT experience in India, and they think of migrating here, and this is really a good place. When you have a good experience in IT, and you can definitely crack a good job over here. And same goes with the freshers as well. This is the right place. And as I said, you just have to have some patience. Once you have that, you're definitely gonna get a good job over here. And there is a lot of things you can learn over here in New Zealand, and such a beautiful place. Yeah.
Cool. No, Naren, thank you so much for your time to be a part of this video, and sharing your experience and some tips for the students and professionals who want to make a career in New Zealand. And well, guys, that's it for this interview session. I hope it was productive and you would have gained some important elements, uh, or the valuable experience from a IT professional, from Naren, how you should approach if you're a student or you are already in the industry. I think all in all, it's all about, there's a lot of opportunities in New Zealand, irrespective of COVID 19. Rather, IT might flourish more. Uh, the point is, you come with some skill set, come with some certification, not just a degree, but Cisco and all other relevant certification, and come with some work experience that would be really helpful for you to make a career. Well, we will try to bring more and more useful content and information to you, so that could be helpful for you to make a career in New Zealand. And we'll keep continuing that. And if you we want to keep getting the information, the quality information, and please subscribe to our channel or hit the bell icon, and do let us know in the comments, or through Facebook, or through emails scrolling on our screen, that if you want to hear anything particular with regards to New Zealand and immigration and career. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Doing it. Cheers. Bye.